All right, so you want to dive into the world of the Wu-Tang Clan?
Sounds good to me.
It's like more than a group. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's a whole cultural thing.
It's got its own slang, its own business model, fashion.
Show games, even.
Everything. And it all started with, get this, a kung fu movie.
You're kidding.
Nope. Shaolin and Wu-Tang from like the 80s.
What?
Who would have thought a martial arts flick could spark a legacy like that, huh?
It is fascinating, how they took that and just ran with it.
Yeah.
They came up with all these backronyms for Wu-Tang, like witty, unpredictable talent and natural game.
I like that one.
Right, or even like wisdom of the universe and the truth of Allah for the nation of the gods.
Wow.
So it wasn't just branding, it was building a whole mythology.
Mythology, okay, but they also have the talent to back it up.
Yeah.
We're talking Robert Diggs, a.k.a. RZA, Gary Grice, a.k.a. EGZA,
And of course,
and Russell Jones, better known as Old Dirty Bastard,
the ODB.
and founding members straight out of Staten Island. But they weren't overnight successes.
No.
Back in the day, they paid their dues with a group called, get this, Force of the Imperial Master.
And that was so crucial,
How so?
It was like their trial by fire, almost.
I see.
And both GZA and RZA actually landed solo record deals before Wu-Tang even formed.
Really?
But both of those deals flopped.
Oh, wow.
So those setbacks, combined with just life on Staten Island, I think that really shaped how they approached the music industry later on.
I could see that.
They kind of learned to distrust the whole system,
So they forged their own path.
Exactly.
Staten Island grit, for sure, played a role. But what else?
Yeah, there were some pretty unique influences in the mix.
Our sources mentioned kung fu movies, obviously,
Of course.
but also something called the 5% Nation.
Right, the 5% Nation, it's a movement with roots in Black empowerment and self-knowledge. It came out of the Nation of Islam and basically stresses understanding your true potential,
Okay,
rejecting the labels society puts on you,
interesting.
and striving for self-improvement.
So it's not just like religion, it's a whole philosophy.
Yeah, exactly, and you can see those teachings woven into Wu-Tang's lyrics.
Especially in the later albums.
Right, you'll hear references to gods and earths, which is what 5%ers call themselves.
Okay.
And themes of knowledge, wisdom, overcoming oppression, all that.
Wow. So we've got street smarts, kung fu philosophy,
Yeah,
this 5%er worldview. That's a potent mix.
for sure.
And it all explodes onto the scene with their debut album, Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers, right?
1993, baby.
It wasn't just music.
No, it was a statement.
Raw, gritty, unapologetically New York.
It changed the game, sonically and lyrically.
I remember when that first single, Protect Ya Neck, dropped.
Hell yeah.
It was like a punch in the face.
In the best way possible.
In the best way possible, exactly.
Yeah, and that energy, it really resonated.
It did.
They built this huge underground following before they even had a major label deal.
And when they finally did sign with Loud RCA, it was on their own terms.
They knew what they were worth.
Which brings us to that revolutionary business model. They negotiated this deal where each member could go solo with other labels.
Unheard of back then.
Unheard of.
It was brilliant, though, when you think about
Yeah.
it. They kept their collective power as Wu-Tang Clan,
Okay.
but they also had the freedom to explore their own thing, build their own brand.
And it worked.
Big time.
Method Man, while signed to Def Jam, wins a Grammy in '95 for that collab with Mary J. Blige.
I'll be there for you. You're all I need to get by. Classic.
A classic. And that Grammy win, it was huge.
Oh, yeah.
Not just for Method Man personally, but for their whole model.
It validated the whole thing.
And it inspired, countless other groups.
To rethink how things were done, for sure.
Rethink the whole dynamic of hip-hop collectives.
It was a power move, shifted the whole landscape.
Yeah.
Suddenly, being in a group didn't mean sacrificing your own ambitions.
It's like they figured out the code to success.
On their own terms.
Creative and commercial.
Absolutely.
Speaking of cracking codes, let's talk about RZA's side project, Grave de Gaz.
Oh, yeah.
They took this thing called horrorcore and, ran with it.
They did.
6 Feet Deep, their debut album, so dark, so atmospheric.
Nothing else like it.
RZA was a force, not just rapping, producing for Wu-Tang, but exploring other genres, crafting soundscapes, even scoring films.
He's a true artist.
And those solo albums from the other Wu-Tang members.
Each one a classic in its own right.
Method Man's Dickel, Old Dirty Bastards, Return to the 36 Chambers.
GZA's Liquid Swords.
Every member just knocking it out of the park.
And each one with its own distinct flavor, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Take Rack One's Only Built for Cuban Links, for example.
What else?
Cinematic, those crime narratives showcasing that lavish lifestyle.
So influential.
That album, along with some others, really popularized what we know as mafioso rap.
So it's not just that they were making great music.
Right.
They were pushing the boundaries of hip-hop. Experimenting with different styles, influencing whole subgenres.
It's like they were building their own universe.
I like that.
Each member adding their own little planet to it.
And then, boom, in 1997, Wu-Tang Forever drops.
Double album,
#1 debut.
solidifying their dominance.
Proving they were here to stay.
No doubt.
I remember hearing that album for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
It was like they'd leveled up somehow.
The lyrics were deeper, the production was richer, and the 5% Nation teachings, they were even more prominent.
Yeah, they weren't just spitting rhymes anymore.
It's more than that.
They were exploring philosophy, social commentary, spirituality.
All while keeping that signature Wu-Tang flow.
A bold statement.
Showing their growth, you know.
As a group.
Absolutely.
And they weren't just content with conquering the music world.
Nope.
They were building an empire.
Haha, that's right.
They launched their own clothing line, Wu Wear.
Classic.
Brought in affiliated groups like Sons of Man, Kill Army.
And they even put out a compilation album.
Wu-Tang Killer Bees. The Swarm.
It was like they were taking over everything.
Wu-Tang style.
Wu-Tang style.
But was it too much too fast?
That's a good question.
Some critics argue that maybe all that expansion diluted their impact.
It's possible.
I mean, if you're constantly bombarded with Wu-Tang, does it lose its edge?
Right. It's like even the best meal can be too much if you're served way too much of it.
Exactly.
And this whole quantity versus quality question, I think it'll be even more relevant as we get into the later part of their career.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But for now, what are your impressions of this rise to fame?
What stands out to you from this early Wu-Tang era?
What are you thinking? It's true that early period was nonstop creativity, but moving into the 2000s, things get a little more complicated.
Right.
They released their third album, The W, in 2000, and it went platinum.
Huge.
But behind the scenes, not all smooth sailing.
Yeah, this is where Old Dirty Bastard's legal issues start causing problems, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, during the recording of The W, he was actually incarcerated.
No way.
Yeah, but that didn't stop him from contributing.
Really?
They actually recorded his vocals for the track Conditioner over prison phone lines.
You're kidding.
Nope.
Wow, talk about dedication, going the extra mile to include him on that album.
It tells you how strong their bond was, you know, as a group.
For sure. But despite the success of the W, it sounds like tensions were starting to rise within the clan.
Yeah, their next album, Iron Flag, came out in 2001. Solid musically.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, things were fracturing.
This is when Capadonna gets airbrushed from the album cover, isn't it?
Exactly. Capadonna, who'd been collaborating with them a lot,
Right.
suddenly persona non grata.
Wow.
His verses were completely gone from Iron Flag.
Hmm.
Rumors started flying about his manager maybe being a police informant.
Oh, wow.
Created this rift in the group, and Capadonna's official membership got put on hold.
So much drama.
And it doesn't stop there. 2004, U-God leaves the group temporarily.
What happened there?
Well, he'd been pretty vocal about his frustrations with RZA's leadership.
I see.
Felt his solo career was getting stifled.
Okay.
It got messy, even spilled onto live radio, some pretty heated exchanges.
Oh, man.
They did eventually patch things up, though.
Good.
U-God came back to the fold.
That's good.
But sadly, that same year, the group suffers a huge loss.
The death of Old Dirty Bastard.
Yeah, it was a real shock to the whole hip-hop community.
Old Dirty Bastard, such a unique personality.
One of a kind.
He brought that raw, unpredictable energy to the Wu-Tang sound.
Absolutely, a one-of-a-kind talent.
And his absence, I mean, it was felt deeply.
Oh, yeah.
They paid tribute to him in their music on stage.
Yeah, but that void could never truly be filled.
It's a reminder that even with all the fame, all the success, there's a human element to all this, real relationships, real loss.
True.
But even with all the turmoil, the solo projects kept going, some members achieving even bigger success.
Right. Ghostface Killah, he was on fire.
Yeah, his 2006 album, Fish Scale, considered a masterpiece by many.
By many, and he even got Old Dirty Bastard on the track 9 Milli Bros, along with the rest of the clan.
Wow.
It's a nice tribute to ODB's legacy.
It really is.
And a testament to Ghostface's talent.
So even with all the adversity, that individual creativity shined through.
Yeah, and then in 2007, they came back together for their 5th studio album, 8 Diagrams.
This was also when Capadonna officially joined the group, right?
Yes, finally solidified his place in the Wu-Tang Clan.
But 8 Diagrams was kind of a departure for them, wasn't it?
It was. RZA really pushed the boundaries on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Incorporated more electronic elements, a
Okay.
more layered production style. Some fans loved it, others not so much.
Divided the fan base.
Yeah, some felt like it went too far from their classic sound.
So it sounds like RZA's creative vision maybe clashed with what some of the other members wanted.
There's definitely some tension, especially with Ghostface Killah.
He was pretty critical of the album publicly, wasn't he?
He was. And it didn't help that it came out the same day as his solo album, The Big Doe Rehab.
Oh, well,
Created this weird sense of competition, even within their own ranks.
like they were battling for attention within their own family.
Yeah, but even with all that, they were still pushing boundaries.
This is when the idea for Shaolin vs. Wu-Tang comes up, right?
Right, Raekwon and Ghostface, unhappy with where RZA was taking things, proposed this album.
Shaolin vs. Wu-Tang.
Yeah, they wanted to go back to their roots, that raw, gritty sound they were known for.
Back to basics.
And they even wanted to leave RZA out of the production completely.
Wow, that's a bold move.
Talk about a power struggle.
So what happened?
Well, in the end, the project morphed into a Raekwon solo album, only built 4 Cuban links, P2,
Okay.
which is a big success, critically and commercially.
But the idea of a more traditional Wu-Tang album, one that went back to their early days, it kind of lingered.
Yeah, it did.
And that brings us to one of the most fascinating chapters in their story.
Once Upon a Time in Shaolin?
More than just an album. It was an event, a statement, a piece of art wrapped in mystery.
1 copy made, encased in this handcrafted silver and nickel box.
Like a sacred relic.
Testament to their belief in the power of art, the exclusivity of it.
And then, of course, it sold for $2 million to Martin Shkreli,
Oh, yeah, the farmer bro.
known for some, shall we say, controversial business practices.
Lines around the world.
It ignited this huge debate,
Was it a genius marketing ploy?
a statement on art becoming a commodity.
Or just a way to get attention?
We're still talking about it today, so.
Exactly.
And then, in a twist right out of a Wu-Tang saga, the album gets seized by the government after Shkreli's conviction for securities fraud.
It's like the album itself became a character in the story.
It did.
Crazy.
So Once Upon a Time in Shaolin eventually gets sold again, this time to a collective called Place de Rio.
$4 million, reportedly.
The album took on a life of its own.
Mirroring the unpredictable nature of Wu-Tang themselves.
So we've got internal conflicts, a tragic loss, a wild album sale.
Yep.
But they kept creating.
They did.
The saga continues in 2017, produced mainly by their longtime collaborator Mathematics,
Really solid release.
showcasing their talent, their ability to adapt, to evolve.
And then they break another boundary, becoming the first hip-hop act to have a Las Vegas residency.
From Staten Island to the Vegas Strip.
It's a journey that speaks to their resilience, their innovation.
Constantly reinventing themselves.
Exactly.
It's been a wild ride so far, highs and lows, triumphs and tragedies.
Sure.
But before we wrap up this deep dive into the Wu-Tang Clan, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this chapter.
Okay.
What stands out to you? What are some of the key takeaways from this period of evolution and change?
Yeah.
It really is amazing how they went through all that and still, push the boundaries creatively.
Oh, yeah. Once Upon a Time in Shaolin, that wasn't just a stunt. It got people talking about art, about ownership, about value, all that stuff.
It really challenged how we think about music, right?
Totally, like how it's created, how it gets out there, how we even experience it.
Some people said it was a critique of the industry,
The whole streaming thing.
Yeah, digital downloads.
Devaluing that tangible experience of music.
It's like they were saying, hey, music can be like a rare artifact, something to be treasured.
Not just consumed on the
And not just consumed on the go, exactly.
But they also, released The Saga Continues in 2017.
Right.
Showing they could still deliver for the fans who wanted that classic Wu-Tang sound.
Exactly. The saga continues. It was a reminder that they still had it.
That gritty, soulful sound.
Produced by Mathematics, a longtime Wu-Tang collaborator.
And then there's that Las Vegas residency.
A first? For a hip-hop group, that's a big deal.
It really is. Shows their staying power.
They've gone way beyond genre to become, a cultural institution.
It's true. Testament to how they connect with audiences across generations even.
They brought that mix of music, martial arts, philosophy,
Yeah.
street smarts,
To Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world.
proving that Wu-Tang is a force, even decades later.
Decades after they came out of Staten Island.
From Protect Ya Neck to Once Upon a Time in Shaolin, it's been one heck of a journey.
No doubt.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's your final takeaway from this whole Wu-Tang saga?
I think it's about creative vision, you know?
Yeah?
Relentless hustle, believing in yourself and your crew.
And that comes through.
They didn't just change hip-hop, they changed the whole game.
It started with a group of guys from Staten Island, loving kung fu movies, passionate about music.
And it turned into this global phenomenon.
They've left their mark on music, fashion, business, pop culture, everything.
They're still inspiring people today.
Wu-Tang's influence, I mean, you can see it everywhere.
Kanye West, Kendrick Lamar, so many others.
They've taken bits of Wu-Tang's sound, their style, their entrepreneurial spirit,
It's like they planted this seed that grew into a massive tree,
with branches everywhere.
influencing generations of artists and entrepreneurs.
They show that you can create your own world, your own rules.
Build an empire on your own terms.
So to everyone listening out there, think about this. What's your Wu-Tang?
What makes you unique?
What talents, what passions, what experiences can you bring to the world?
What kind of empire can you build?
Their story reminds us that anything is possible if you dream big, hustle hard, stay true to your vision.
Wu-Tang's legacy is about creativity, about innovation, about collaboration.
It goes way beyond music.
It's for anyone who wants to make a difference, leave their mark on the world.
That's it for this deep dive into the world of the Wu-Tang Clan. Thanks for listening.